super slow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That one's in a restaurant or somewhere, she's not bad now.
I know, too
Okay.
Okay, we're starting, ladies. All right, so.
You put a sign on the door.
Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome to a debate on the stability of our economic system. We're going to start with the Smith group, move to the Marx group, and end with the Keynes group throughout the debate process. So please start with your opening statement.
We as followers of Smith believe that if individuals are left to pursue their own self-interest, they will trade in the market.
This is good for the individual, however, it is also good for the government through Say's law, which means that supply creates its own demand. If you allow the suppliers to make products, that will provide jobs for people, for workers, and then put money in their pockets through the trickle-down system, and that will lead to people consuming products, and it will lead a healthy cycle for the entire government or economy. And through the law of competition, if people are competing, they will be forced to make a better product at a lower price.
And then Smith also believed in laissez-faire, which means no government intervention, let it be. So if the government does not involve itself in the economy, it's going to create stability and harmony, because they're like, the government's letting people be themselves and make the government flourish by their own means.
Thank you.
So we're believers in Marxism, and Marx believed that capitalism made the economy unstable and prone to booms and busts. So there was a constant conflict between workers and the capitalists, and what was good for one was bad for the other, which was the cyclical nature and the booms and busts.
Marx also believed that workers being alienated and exploited in the work as well. They were being alienated, for instance, by performing the same task every day. They had absolutely no control over the production process, and so they had no opportunities to creativity or motivation. Workers were also exploited in a capitalist society by capitalists not seeing them as individuals with various skills, but sources of labor power and the pursuit of a profit.
Marxists also believe that capitalists create competition, and where the richer gets richer and the other one loses. By this, the one that does win and gets richer gets more power over workers because they create monopolies. By having this power over workers, they can break unions, regulate their wages, and the hours they work, and the amount of jobs that there are, which makes people permanently unemployed and ends up creating this research army of the unemployed.
So just to recap, Marx believed that there was instability in capitalism and that workers were constantly alienated and exploited, and that capitalists continue to grow and create monopolies.
Thank you. Keynes.
Keynes is a blending of Smith and Marx. Keynes believed the individuals and their self-motivations are good for the market, but they also believe that the market is cyclical, as Marx does. He also believes that capitalism is prone to instability. The market is not always stable, nor is it always unstable. It depends. If things are going well and are stable, the government intervention isn't necessary. But if things are unstable, then government intervention is necessary. In order to have stability, you need to have a balance between investment and savings.
So Keynes, he also believes that the economy is subjected to booms and busts. So during an economic boom, demand is greater than supply. This means that prices will increase until employment, because the company is selling enough goods and making enough money to hire more workers to make these goods. So supply continues to go up, as well as demand and prices. This results in even more hired workers, so it's good for the economy, everyone's getting jobs. People have more money because they have these jobs, So there's an increase in spending, so more money's going into the government. The government doesn't need to interfere at this time, but however, the only role the government should play in an economic boom is as the role of a regulator. So, government regulations, they help keep workers safe. There's laws that workers have to follow, like if you're working in dangerous situations like construction. Government regulations help keep our food safe, like the Food and Drug Administration. So, just the role as a regulator is the only role a government should play during an economic boom, because otherwise it's really not necessary, because everything else is going well.
Keynes also believes in the bust. So the bust is when demand is less than supply. So when this happens, prices decrease, employment decrease, supplies decrease, demand decrease. At this situation is where government intervention should come in. And what government intervention can do is provide the lower income with stimulus checks in order to create the supply of demand. This would also have the government come in and lower interest rates, open up public works, and reverse the recession that we're in.
Thank you. First question from the floor for the followers of Smith's perspective.
The Great Depression was a 10-year economic depression that followed the Roaring '20s, a time of great economic prosperity. How can you say that the capitalist system is stable, and how can you know that the economy will be able to recover?
Is built into be, I mean, like, the stability comes from the instability of the system, because it's saying that the system will get rid of whatever it's not good for, and it will start, and like, what's in one place, if it's not working, will find its way to another place, and then that's where the growth comes from.
You were saying how we get stable from the instability of the Great Depression? Is that what the question was?
We were asking how can you say the capitalist system is stable when you have an example of a 10-year depression, and how can you know that the economy then will be able to recover when it has hit such a low?
If it's at such a low, then how we talked about the supply creates its own demand. If prices are lowered, then more people will buy at lower prices, and it'll, like, through the invisible hand, fix itself.
Slowly but surely.
Okay, ladies? Done for now?
Yeah.
First rebuttal to the answer by the Marx group.
Do we get like a minute to discuss? Okay. We were like, how do we start? Okay. So if you are at a boom in the economy, how do you know that the invisible hand will eventually fix itself, or that it'll be as good as it was before?
You don't get to answer right now. Is that all you want to rebut? Okay.
Yes.
Rebuttal by you? By the Keynesians?
So what you're saying is that the invisible hand will come in and it will fix the 10-year depression of what's going on. But if prices are prices are decreased, employment is decreased, supply is decreased, and demand is decreased at the time, how would the visible hand come in to reverse it so that now everything starts to increase? Where would that movement start from to reverse the cycle?
Especially if there's no one, really having money to spend to start that boom again.
Is that during bus, the elite class does get smaller, but they still have money to invest and they'll invest it in other places.
And we believe that the invisible hand is competition, and even if, prices are decreasing, demand is decreasing, employment is decreasing, like she said, there's still people that have money. There's no lack of money. There's still some there, and through the competition, the prices, they'll fight to sell the better product at the lower price, and eventually we'll get back.
And even, like you say, even if the class does get smaller and people, they can start charging whatever they want for any product that they make, eventually they'll go away and then that money will find its way to a new industry because people won't want to pay for it and they still need a profit. So they'll stop making that and do something else.
Okay, ladies, the rebuttal people, you get one chance for rebuttal. If there's some things that with the last word you wish you had said that you don't have a chance to say right now, that's the kind of thing that goes in the closing statement, right? Remind yourself, write it down. Is the last word finished with the Smith followers?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, the first question from the floor for the Marx people.
Marxism claims that capitalism is unfair and exploitive, but isn't it exploitive of hard workers to receive the same pay and benefits as everyone else under a socialist society?
Gabrielle, can I ask you to repeat your question one more time, please?
Marxism claims that capitalism is unfair and exploitive, but isn't it exploitive of hard workers to receive the same pay and benefits as everyone under a socialist society?
That's not exactly how the system is, because Marx believes that the capitalists will constantly be gaining money and getting richer while the workers are stuck in the same system. So saying that a worker is better than another worker doesn't really exist or apply. So all workers are kind of in the same category, where they're always stuck in the same spot while the capitalists gain profit and get richer.
Are you done? You can consult with each other. If you're done, we'll move on.
I mean, also they're kind of looked at, all of them, all these workers are looked at the same way in the fact that the people who own all these companies and everything only expect them to buy and buy and buy and see them as buyers and not as but then again, they don't pay them as much. So in that way, they're all the same. I don't know if I kind of made myself clear that they're all in the same category, but again, these the higher power are the only ones that have that difference within them, but the workers don't.
And also in a capitalist society, the workers don't get to dictate, their wage or their benefits or anything like that. They have absolutely no control of the production process, and so the capitalists are, determining what they get and everything.
Okay, rebuttal to the Marxists by the Keynesians first. But both groups, both the Keynesians and the Smith followers, consult on your rebuttals now. All right, ladies.
Okay, so the example that I'll use is the global financial crisis from the 2007 to 2008. I equated that with the Great Depression because the depression, or the recession, it was sort of the same as it was in the Great Depression, but bringing it more modern, the global financial crisis was kind of similar. So what happened was a lot of people, they lost their homes, large businesses failed, and the president at the time, George W. Bush, he provided stimulus checks and tax rebates to help people gain back their homes. Sorry, I'm kind of lost. We kind of had an issue with the internet here. I forgot her question for this.
Abigail,
Their rebuttal, sorry.
okay, well, do
Yeah.
the best you can, or we're gonna move on.
Well, the thing I thought of when you guys were answering was the minimum wage issue that's going on right now. In a Marxist society, everyone would get the same, but unless there's some type of government intervention, that same number could be very, very low. You know, in a Smith economy, it could be very low as well, and without that government intervention, it's never gonna raise.
And so one of the presidential candidates of 2016, Bernie Sanders, said that if we were to increase minimum wage, we would stimulate the economy by putting more money in the pockets of the lower class. So therefore, we would go into the boom and take the economy out of the recession. Hillary Clinton was also another presidential candidate right now who brought up, if you have a waitress that wages is $2.13 an hour, how are they supposed to sufficiently survive if the tips that they receive doesn't make up enough income to provide for the family to keep going? So in that case, you also have the Republican side that says the government shouldn't be involved in making a decision to help raise minimum wages for the lower class, let the private sectors do that. But if the private sectors feel that the company doesn't have enough funds to raise the minimum wage, then we continue to stay where we are.
Okay, thank you. Rebuttal by you all.
Right, our question was, if you believe that the capitalist system is exploiting, or because any part of the profit goes to the capitalism, or the capitalists, how is that exploitation if the capitalists are the ones who invest their own money and bought the machinery and paid the workers? Like, how is that exploitation?
they're putting in more, so why shouldn't they get more?
They are providing production.
Sorry,
Can you restart, sorry?
oh, if you believe that capitalists, they exploit their workers, how is that exploitation if they get profit when the capitalists themselves are the ones who invest their money and buy the machinery, the means of product, and pay the workers if they get money back?
I'm Stephanie, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was restating what she said, that the capitalists were providing the means for production, so how is that exploiting the workers?
But if the only thing they're provide is the labor.
All right.
Okay, so in regards to your question, you know, about the minimum wage and everything, how, you know, it's not, how workers are getting, you know, let's say, okay, so about the waitress, right, example, okay, so this, in Marx's theory, it's not about determining what exactly minimum wage is, it's about determining, you know, having everyone in the society getting a fair share of the wealth and new income. And so what he's saying is that all the wealth and income is going to the top 1% of every capitalist, every corporation out there, which 1%, 1/10 of it makes up only wealth, billionaires. And so what the Marxist theory is stating is that everyone should be getting a fair share, just not the top 1%.
For example, if she worked at IHOP, the IHOP corporation is making millions of dollars a year, and she's only making $2.33 an hour. There's something IHOP should do, their capitalists should do to help their workers. So spread the wealth a little bit more.
And with your question, yes, these capitalists are getting all this profit, but the profit they're getting, their first priority isn't to invest it back into workers, into getting more workers. Their main goal is to invest that money in new technology, in new ways, which they don't have to spread that cost into more labor costs. So basically, their investments are trying to be reinvested into things that cut their cost of labor and not to invest in more workers for them. So.
Thank you. First question by the floor for the Keynesians, please.
If funding unemployment and other government assistance programs seems to be beneficial to keeping up with the demand, then when is enough enough? Aren't you worried that the public will become reliant on these fundings, or worse, become lazy?
So I could see where that could be a problem, but I think with the W-2 program, so people don't end up being reliant on it, you have to provide records every few weeks or months or so that you're still looking for new employment. And if you're not submitting new records of applications, that you're still looking for a new job, you're not just sitting at home just relying on those checks, then those benefits, they end up getting cut off. So you're forced to still look for new jobs while you're getting that assistance. It's just like to get back on the ground, not to just sit there and be lazy. So there are regulations for that, to prevent that kind of, that attitude.
And to piggyback off of that, one of the things that I've had friends also participate in when they've been unemployed are the job services that the government provides. You know, they're the job centers that the government provides. They do vocational rehab. You can change what kind of career you want or what kind of labor that you want to do by participating in some of those things, as well as going back to school and having the government fund some of your schooling as well.
With that, the program, it has its different checkpoints to make sure that if you don't have your high school diploma, it puts you through programs to get your GED or your high school diploma. It checks on you to make sure that you're meeting the requirements so that you continue, if you have kids, to get assistance with child care, to get assistance with health and dental and vision, and also to maintain that check. And what it is the starting point to help you build the foundation so that you can move further to eventually getting off the program to where you're getting a more stable job with a better pay, and now you can get the benefits through that employer. So you, in the beginning, it may seem like the person is being lazy,